Good evening, everybody, and welcome to all of my teachers to join this webinar of today from the various parts of Maharashtra. This webinar is going to be on English higher level subject. We also welcome our today's special guest, our two eminent panelists for English subject, and we start today's webinar. Corona crisis across the world has caused tremendous learning loss. Schools were closed, completely closed last year, and no exams were conducted last year and the year before. Even the 10th and 12th board exams could not be held, they were cancelled. Of course, online teaching was going on and it was conducted, but it had its own limitations. A lot of difficulties were faced, like scarcity of gadgets, mobile, computers, all hardware. There were issues of network. Recharge expenses were not affordable by many students. And there was one-way teaching, which was not interactive, making this learning very uninteresting to some extent. Some of the teachers were not skilled adequately to conduct this online teaching. But friends, in spite of all these challenges, the teachers, the managements, the parents, and government administration tried their level best to reach out to students. Of course, we all know that in the coming time, national policy on education has very prominently underlined this particular thing that we are going to have henceforth blended teaching. That means, of course, there will be classroom teaching, but there will be supported by the technology. So in a way, we can say it is a blessing in disguise that Corona has made everyone techno-friendly. However, in this time of Corona crisis, many surveys were conducted by various organizations, and all these surveys reflected that large population of students suffered considerably and the learning loss. Lots of contents were forgotten by children. Lot of competencies which were prescribed for the class were not achieved by the students. Now, under these circumstances, the schools are reopening. Tomorrow, most of the schools are opening 15th of June, and the new academic year is beginning. Of course, with online teaching. The students will be in the new class, but with incomplete learning, making both teachers and students teaching learning very difficult. It is true that we cannot change the situation or circumstances which is not within our reach, but certainly we can take some positive actions to address these issues. Here is a program which is proposed by Navneet Foundation, and we call this program Bridging the Gap. But before talking about Bridging the Gap program, let me tell you, friends, that Navneet Foundation is doing a lot of work for the society. It is giving back to the society. In this, one of the program which has been conducted for last 5 years is Teachers Empowerment Program, that is the Teachers Training Program. And many of you must have attended our training workshops which were conducted across Maharashtra state. So for last 5 years, the Teachers Training Program was happening. But due to this Corona crisis, we continued to work through technology. We had online training programs for teachers. This time, the Bridging the Gap program that we are proposing is a new program, of course, but it is the first initiative taken by Navneet Foundation to address the teacher-students' loss of learning. The program has very simple 3 steps. First step, take a pretest of the students of standard 8, 9th, and 10th. Because we presume the students learning now 8th standard studies have a very weak base and foundation of 7th standard, same with 9th and 10th. So conceptual understanding of students is to be tested by taking a small pretest, a very small test with about 25 questions of MCQ type, and that will be totally objective. Go through the findings of this test and ascertain the weak areas of the students, the things which are not learned properly of the previous class. It is to be done right in the beginning of the program. And friends, I will tell you that Navneet Foundation has started a special portal for teachers. It's a good news for all my teachers. The portal is only meant for teachers. It's a free portal. And on this portal, we are providing a kind of a question bank from where teachers can choose the questions and develop their own pre-test questionnaire. Now, after the pre-test is conducted, there will be a teaching learning which will happen at the school level, at every class level by the teachers. And what is to be taught is the work done by our team. Expert team has found out what are the essential concepts the teachers need to revise with the students so that they cope well with the present standard studies. So this teaching will happen for 2 weeks. And today's webinar, Dr. Pradhan sir has worked out a nice timetable, which you will find it very useful. Now, in 2 weeks' time, cover the portion, but at the same time, teachers will give importance to the revision, homework, and repetition of what they have learned through the lot of work they can do on their own at home with the help of some additional books like workbooks and market whatever good books are available. The third step is again at the end concluding of the program. So after the 2 weeks, the portion is revised by teachers. There will be again a test to find out, which is a post test to find out the feedback from the students to ascertain how much was understood by the students, what things were not understood, which students did not understand, who needs special attention. That is to be identified, and teacher will give additional guidance to such type of students to bring them to the same level. Now, talking about this program, I will talk further about that this plan that we are putting before you needs your wholehearted support and participation. It is said that people don't plan to fail, but they fail to plan. So we have a plan. We are not failing in preparing a plan. But to make this plan a success, it's all in your hands. How to make this program happen? We need to work with 100% commitment, dedication for meeting the learning loss of the students. Each of you after this webinar will be confident to take this program ahead. And they will be very clear why we are doing this program, what are we going to do in this program, how we are going to conduct it, when it's to be done, and who will be doing it. So this is what we are presenting before you, and we feel that Navadisha portal will come to your help as far as the entire content of the webinar. A lot of other stuff is there on the portal which teachers will find it very interesting, useful, and enriching. So please do visit the portal. Portal is navadisha.co.in, a portal, and you can just register your own ID and password and get into the portal. So all the presentations for last 4 days, last 3 days, we had English, lower level, we had Marathi, we had science, and we had mathematics, 8, 9, 10 standard portion, and all that will be available. And even today's webinar will be available on the portal, along with the PPTs. And PPT is very done with a very hard work and very meticulously, which will be a very guiding material for you. So now when we start our today's program, I would like to introduce you to our 2 experts who are going to conduct this session. Retired from a RCM Gujarati school at Pune as a principal, was on the textbook development committee for a number of years, developing all the textbooks of 9, 10, 11, 12, and also in the State Curricular Framework Committee 2010, member of number of subject committees of English, former member of MSCERT, editor, member, board of editors, Shikshan Sankraman, which is a government publication. He's a retired, although, but still he continues to write articles in that. He's a member of that committee. Bal Chitravani, All India Radio, lot of educational material is written by him, contributed, and recipient of number of awards for his outstanding role as an excellent teacher. Is from Vidya Vikas Prabodhini, Lions Club, Rotary Club, number of, there's a long list. And if I start reading his entire biodata, I'm sure the 2 hours webinar will be not enough for that. So such a wonderful person is Dr. Umesh Pradhan. I welcome you, Dr. Pradhan, for today's session. And I'm sure that you have been doing wonderful work for last 5 years with me, our Navneet Foundation, in training the teachers in English and always willing to help. He's one of the best teachers I know in Maharashtra as an English teacher. Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving your precious time. And now we have another speaker today here, whom I will really say another passionate teacher. Though retired, now both of them are retired, but they are so updated with what is happening in the field of education, thoroughly ready with any time asking them anything about their own subject. Such a wonderful person is Shailaja Mure. She retired as a vice principal of St. Michael High School, awarded as a best teacher of English and also French. She has done MA with 2 subjects, English and psychology, excellent counselor, and gives number of training programs, conducts, and help a lot of teachers to improve their competencies. She was also a former member of textbook committee, curriculum committee, and master trainer trained, who has in this period of time, last 40 years, she has trained number of thousands of teachers across Maharashtra. We are very proud to have such wonderful 2 experts to address you this afternoon. And they have done a lot of hard work in searching the books, finding out what was relevant for 8th standard child to know from 7th standard, for 9th standard what they should know of 8th standard, and for 10th standard of 9th standard. So all this work has been done by them, who retired but today working always with a joyfully and always committed to their work. So we start our today's sessions. Once again, I welcome all my teachers who have joined us from various places: Aurangabad, Nanded, Nagpur, Mumbai, Pune, Nasik, Kolhapur. Various places people have joined us, and we are really happy that you will definitely be benefited by this program. Take it forward. It is not just attending to today's webinar, listening to it and go back and do nothing. It is for you to start working. We are just giving you a push, and we are trying to support you in your activity. After all, you are and me, we are all working for children, and we are for the children, and this activity is to benefit our students who have faced learning loss. So friends, with these words, I will not take more time and request our Umesh Pradhan sir to take over. Before Umesh Pradhan sir, I will request Shailaja madam to take over and start with her presentation for standard 8, the students who have come from 7th standard in the 8th standard, and they need to be revised in the following topic. So thank you once again to all of you, and stay patiently till the end of the program. Keep asking your questions, and we are there to answer your doubts and questions. Thank you.
Well, good evening, teachers. Roy, madam, thank you for the introduction, rather an elaborate introduction. But to the teachers, welcome to the new normal academic year 2021. Bridging the gap is nothing but a remedial measures for students going from standard 7 to standard 8. The pandemic had a great impact on the education system and on the learning of the students. Online teaching and learning evolved, and this definitely had an effect on the learners. The expected learning outcomes could not be achieved due to the challenges of internet, devices, and other issues. The students had to be promoted to the next class, irrespective of what they learned and whether they comprehended the concepts. This full exercise of finding the missing links and bridging the gap had to be undertaken by Navneet Foundation to help students and teachers. Bravo! What a beautiful job. Teachers, I now move on to the complete presentation that I have to begin. When it is a language, we don't only speak of concepts. We speak of competencies and concepts. And I always play the fool and I say, language is for the romantics. Maths and science is for practical people. Now, the competencies of a language, reading, listening, speaking, comprehension, major competencies. What is the learning outcome of this? Why do I need to do it as a teacher? To be able to read a paragraph fluently and with proper intonation. To be able to understand, comprehend, both will mean the same thing, the real meaning and implied meaning of words, phrases, sentences. To be able to listen to the passage read by the teacher and answer the questions. To be able to speak 3 to 4 sentences on a small incident. Have you noticed our learning outcomes have covered all our competencies? The why is clear, but what to do and what will be the learning experience? Ask the students to read a small passage and ask the question. What kind of questions will I ask the students? Simple, factual, easy to find. Complex, factual, go round and find. Vocabulary, guess the meaning, grammar, and personal response. And you all know, teachers, personal response is so important for all of us. We all love to express our views, so we have to train our children also for a personal response. And therefore, we teachers need to draw their attention to WH question, the who, the what, the why, the where, if. Another small activity, I'm talking of online activity, which can be converted to offline also, because we are going to be in the midst of both. Ask the student to listen carefully. And mind you, teachers, we are all teachers of English. Any English competency exam to go abroad has got a listening test. So let the children practice now, listen carefully and fill in the blanks, put up on the board, a whiteboard, of course, because if I don't know why I should be listening, why will I listen? I have to see that to be able to. Ask the student to speak 2 sentences on a topic and then play a game. You say 2, and let it go round, or let them write it on a paper, fold a paper and send it. And you see at the end, the laughter that can be there, but they have learned to think in English. Mind you, teachers, we all have a mother tongue, and English is a foreign language for us. And yet we have to help our children to be able to speak in English. Fine, I am comfortable with the what, but how to do it? That will take care of my activity. So now give a passage to the children, give them questions and let them learn to find out. How to find out simple factual? Straight answers. How to find out complex factual? Move around and find. How to get the vocabulary? Look at the word which is sounding and looking a little different. Grammar will be comfortable, and personal response, I feel great to give and express myself. WH questions for the students over here. Ask the child to frame questions and ask their friends about their experiences on online learning and see the interesting thing, the results that can come. Next slide, please. Come to concepts. Any teacher of English will always begin a class with parts of speech. I really can't find any teacher of English who has not started the first day class with parts of speech for various reasons. Some because you want to know what the children know, some because you want to know whether they remember, some because they feel I should be able to test. So what we call it as pre-test or a diagnostic testing is what we always do. Parts of speech we all know, the noun, the adjective, the pronoun, all that is there. But what is the outcome? Learning outcome. Simple learning outcome. To be able to identify the parts of speech. In a sentence, any word, I should be able to classify them in a compartment, whether it's a noun or an adjective or a pronoun or a verb. What is a learning experience? Noun is the name of a person, place, or thing. Granted, I can play a game in the class. Take the letter R, and children put down the name of a place, person, thing. We all have played this game even as children. Now we can play it in the class. And then I take them further to explain the types and the number. So proper, common, give examples. Page numbers have been given in the book, and there are examples given over there. Teachers, don't waste time trying to copy anything. Don't do that. All this is going to be on the portal for you. It's made so comfortable for you. So don't take time to write or take screenshots over there. Don't do all that. Just exercise your ears. Listen to it and use your eyes and use your visuals because that is where learning takes place with our senses. So we have collective, we have concrete nouns, countable, uncountable. I can count pens and pencil, but can I count Pepsi? Can I count milk? I have to count it in a quantifiable number. This is important. That's why I can't say 1 milk, 2 milk, 3 milk. No. Therefore, we have to know that, and that is given to us on page 15. And then the number, singular number, and plural. How will I get my children to learn this? Give them a simple passage and ask them to pick out the nouns. Now, mind you, teachers, we all teachers of English know our children don't read English. And I don't find why they should read English, or rather read anything. But I have to give them a stimulus to read. So what do? If I tell them read, they will become the naughty child. So what will I do? Read the passage and pick out nouns. Interesting. I have to pick out something. I will do it. Then I will ask them, say whether the underlined nouns are countable or uncountable, and then give the plural. We are all doing activity-based learning, and we have realized our classes are becoming so interesting with activity-based that even if you tell the child not to pay attention, the child pays attention. Am I right? Next slide, please. We go on to parts of speech continued. I've put these two separately over there, taken them separately. Reason, conjunctions. What is the meaning of conjunctions? Connecting junctions. Come from the railways. Two junctions get connected by a train. How do I connect it? So conjunction and interjection. I express myself. I want to join words. I want to join clauses. I want to express my feeling. I've got conjunctions and interjection. And the learning experiences identify the feeling. Oh, alas. If I were in an offline class, no, I just pinch a child and he said, ouch. That was an expression of interjection. Here I have not given activity because teachers, you know your children best. Entire demography of the child is different. We know all our children and we know what our children can do. So each teacher over here will design your own activity. Don't clamp yourself. We can do something differently. To my child, for my child, with my help is what I would do as an activity. Let's go further and look at the next slide. Here, elaborately, parts of speech, explanation, and example is given. Before I dwell into this, teachers, I would want to say a teacher must have a toolkit of her own. Now, what is a toolkit that I will have? My own dictionary, my own pronouncing dictionary, my own thesaurus, a pencil in hand, my own textbook. Why? Because how I hold the textbook is so important, because the child is going to look at that part, how to hold the textbook. I fold it and the child does it that way. And for that, we have to be very careful. So I have come back to this chart over here for the part of speech. A word that names a person, place, or thing. But what is a pronoun? For a noun, a word that is used instead of a noun. Certain examples are given to you at the side. Adjective, describe a person or thing. Beautiful, wonderful, marvelous, yummy, delicious. Where I express verb, action words, or state I am, existence. Adverbs, more information about the word. Run fast, adjective, another adverb, or an entire sentence I want to say. Quickly, tomorrow, outside. Preposition. Now tell the child the meaning of this. Preposition. Preposition is for a position. This will be for a position. I keep my pen on the table. Relation between the pen. Don't worry, teacher. All this is available for you in the portal. You will get everything. In fact, you need to thank Navneet for it, because you're going to get downloadable PPTs. Don't worry. You can just download it and use it. But now listen, because I'm waiting for questions after that. No? So you must have your questions ready. Then we come to conjunctions. Join parts of a sentence together. An interjection, a short sound, a word, a phrase to express the speaker's emotion. Alas. Bravo. Oh, now even this oh, I could say it in some different way. Oh, 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 I could say it in various ways that I want to know. This is important. These parts of speech, this kind of a chart, teacher, you can modify it to suit your children. Make one, get the child to do it, and put it up in the class somewhere, where the children can see visual. May I have the next slide, please? A small little poem, something, because they are 7th going to the 8th, no? Something very different that comes in, the parts of speech poem. Every name is called a noun. As field and fountain, street and town. In place of noun, the pronoun stands, as he and she can clap their hands. The adjective describes a thing as a magic wand or bridal ring. The verb means action, something done, as read and write and jump and run. How things are done, the adverbs tell. As quickly, slowly, badly, well. The preposition shows relation, as in the street or at the station. Conjunctions join in many ways. Sentences, words, or phrases. A phrase. The interjection cries out, hark! I need an exclamation mark. Now, I would use this poem see, it's a language. I cannot break it up into compartments unnecessarily. I now want to draw my attention to the last words of the line. Noun, down, stands, hands, thing, ring, done, run, tell, well, relation, station, ways, phrase, hark, mark. I'm sure you have noticed something. You are all teachers because I can see some hands raised also. We will take the hand raise afterwards. But I'm telling you, our children will enjoy. And the first reaction they'll give is, teacher, the sound is the same. Noun, down. So now I'm giving them a concept of rhyming word. I will write this word on the board. And teacher, please write it on the board, even in online. We are using whiteboard. Why? Because rhyming is a different spelling. Rai is not RI, it's RHY. And therefore, I need to actually reinforce that spelling. Now see what has happened. From parts of speech poem, I have come to show them rhyming words. And that is going to take me a little further to show them the rhyme scheme. Can I have the next slide, please? Can you see this chart? Types of nouns. Common, and examples are given. Common noun, proper noun. You've got abstract noun, concrete noun, countable noun, uncountable noun, compound nouns, two nouns which come together, collective, group. Singular noun and plural noun has been put in over here because we have singular number and plural number. All the examples over here are important for us to understand. This is there in the book. This chart is a comprehensive chart which you have got. All right, but it is there for you. So this can be used by. These are types of nouns. And therefore, you can even use this to make an information transfer. Let them make types of nouns into a graphic presentation. Teachers, you are creative. And you will be 10 steps ahead of what I am talking to. May we have the next slide? A pronoun chart. Now, pronoun chart, there's a special hitch over here and a special glitch which has been put over here. First, I need to understand I am the first person. You, second person, because you're in front of me. He, third person, go on that side. Why? Because this is in the singular. Again, when I'm looking at the plural, we, you, and they. I have subject pronouns. I have object pronouns. I have possessive pronouns. I have reflexive pronouns. I just want to deliberate on that a little. In between, you will see possessive adjectives. And our teachers are wondering how adjectives came in a pronoun chart. Why should it come? Will it not confuse? Teachers, you know your children. If you want, you can take it out. If you want, I will tell you why. Because when I ask the child, whose book is it? Very rarely children say mine. They say my, your, his. And that is what they're using as an adjective, where his and a pronoun. So to show that difference, that possessive adjective has been brought in between. You can take it out, keeping your children in mind, or you can show them the difference. Just come back to the previous slide, please. Then we are looking at possessive pronouns, mine, yours, his, and reflect. Now, this is very important, reflexive. Very often, our children make a mistake and we teachers need to correct them. Myself, Shaileja Mole. Myself cannot be Shaileja Mole. It's a reflexive pronoun. I did it myself. This has to be taught. It's a reflexive pronoun. So the use of it has to be explained. See, teachers, we have to take it closer to them. Children will imitate us. They understand us. They understand our language, but we need to clarify certain things. A question in your mind is, we are talking of functional English today. Why have we gone back to structures? Mind you, functional English, contextual English is important, but there is a structure involved over there. The basic structure cannot change. Functional will be the usage. Context will be the usage. Structural will be how it is written. This is what we need to understand and take it further. Next slide, please. Types of adjectives. Look at that diagram which is shown to you, and all are all mixed together. Descriptive, beautiful, wonderful, marvelous, demonstrative. This book, that bottle. You're pointing out, you're demonstrating number or quantity. I have 2 papers with me. I have 4 pens with me. I have 10 pencils with me. I am counting it. Possessive. Possessive will be what I own. An interrogative to ask a question. Let's go further with it. Next slide, please. This is a slide only put for you to understand the verbs, and the children can add. You know how we have a wall, we can put a paper on the wall, teachers, and just put them and let them go on writing over there the different verbs. I would give it a little tweak. I will say pick out the verbs from the book and pick out words. Because if they make a mistake, I will understand it. And they can just put it over there that they can all put all the verbs. This is how it is. Next slide, please. Now you'll begin to wonder, 7 to the 8th, why am I talking of so many adverbs? Why am I talking of types of adverbs? I only want the child to understand what are adverbs. I do not want them to classify. Because ly ending, they understand. But other words they cannot understand. But this will be useful for me, 8 to the 9th, useful for me, 9 to the 10th, useful even from 10 to the 11th, and etc. May I have the next slide, please? It will be there on the portal. This is interesting. Movement prepositions. Fun. Because, you know, it's very difficult. I don't know what you teachers feel, but I, as a teacher, have found it very difficult to explain preposition. And therefore, when I get it like this figurative, no, I can explain to them what the meaning is. Let's go further. Next slide, please. Captain conjunctions, because we've got different kinds. We've got correlative conjunctions and we've got subordinative conjunctions. Why did we say captain conjunction? Because there are different kinds of conjunction. As we go further, I will elaborate this. But at the moment, I need to take you through. Let's navigate a little further. This is there, this you will get. So don't worry, and it is self-explanatory. Next slide, please. Interjection also is self-explanatory. I do not want to go further with it because our teachers are aware of it and you express it better. Next slide, please. We come to the verbs. Transitive, intransitive, auxiliaries, and modals. He kicked the ball. He kicked what? The ball. He goes to school. I cannot say he goes what? He goes to school. The intransitive verb, no object. He kicked the ball, transitive. And if it's a doing verb. And modal. I have given an example of can and could, something very interesting to share with you. Very often, our children ask us, can I come to class? And I sometimes tell them, you decide, because can is ability. They have to learn, may I come to class? Though can be used for a permission, but its usage is different. This is for us to explain. Ask them to identify the verbs and let them make sentences with modal auxiliary. Next slide, please. This again is a comprehensive, complete joint family of verbs and its types. Complete joint family. Look at that. Finite verb, non-finite verb. 7 to the 8, 8 to the 9, 9 to the 10. Everywhere you get. Principal is your main verb. Linking is your connective. Auxiliary is your helping verb. And you've got a primary auxiliary verb and a modal. And the non-finite, I will do it when I go from 8 to the 9. Let's move further with it. Modal auxiliary also just a chart given to you, which when you look at it on the portal, you'll get details about it. It's given to you in the grammar books also, but this is just one chart. So when you refer to the portal, you will get it. Don't worry about it. Next one, please. Punctuation. Very important if I have to learn to read with pauses. And the punctuations here are with icons. See the marks given over there. Because only then I learn to pause. Otherwise, my children can read. They can read without stopping. But when will they breathe? Punctuation helps. They're like traffic signals, you know. They help us to stop and read. So give them an activity, read the lesson and circle the punctuation mark, put a triangle for the commas, put a square for the, you can work out different activities that you want. Let's move further. We come to sentence structures, subject, predicate, subject, verb, object, objects and complements. I'm taking this a little further because this is there in the book, but the next chart will tell you a little more clearly on that, where I'm supposed to pick out direct object, answer the question what, or complement, I just add something over there. Activity important, let them pick out the objects or the object complement. Can I have the next slide? So, okay, here you come. Subject and predicate. According to us teachers, they have done it in the 5th standard. Yes, they have done it. 6th also they've done. 3rd standard also they've done. But as we grow, we all forget. No? As we all grow. So you have an affirmative sentence, simple sentence. It can be affirmative. It can be negative. There can be a question. So easy. Question mark? Question. Negative, not or never is there? Negative. Straight away, affirmative. But when I get an adverb added or a direct object, then I, my canary sings how? Adverb. My canary sings what? Song. My canary sings to me. Indirect object. This is what our children need to understand. And I know we teachers can explain this very well. Let's go further with it. Homonyms, synonyms are given to us on page 94 of the book. And the writing skill will be in the portal and the tips and hints. I am not going to dwell a little bit on the writing skills now. The reason being, Dr. Pradhan will be talking after that. He has gone into the depth of it. And I don't want to challenge your hearing ability and listening ability by going too much into it and looking at it too much, because you will have a big problem on listening. But we have got ability to write. But I would want to insist on the activity. Make a list of proverbs. So very important as an assignment for standard 10. Let them start making a book now to collect all the proverbs from the book. And this can be ready for 10th standard as an assignment. And those proverbs can then be used for expand the proverbs, the meaning, the illustration, the example. I could even use it as a story or a moral on that. Letters, formal, informal, we have done, but sir will be talking about it. So I do not want to duplicate work unnecessarily. Now, when I look at homonyms, synonyms, and antonyms, they are able to beautify the language. Let's go further with the next slide. This is only a chart put, which on the portal you can really enjoy it. It's like enjoying a cup of ice cream, no? So you enjoy it that time on the homograph and homonyms and homophones, and let the children also enjoy it. Let's move a little further. I'm sorry if I have to rush through a little because of the time frame that we have got. And the time frame is not because of anything else. The time frame is because we do not want to trouble you to keep on listening, knowing what online means. And so we come to figures of speech. I have a very simple question always for my children, and I'm sure you have also asked. Why do we need figures of speech? Parts of speech, okay, I understood. But why figures of speech? Normally I teach the boys, so I always ask them, see, you wore a blue trouser, right? So what if you wear a black shirt on that? What does it matter to you? And I get an answer. No, teacher, it won't look nice. Oh, it won't look nice. It won't be matching. So you want something beautiful to look at. That is what figures of speech do. Matching earrings, matching chain, the rings matching, clothes matching. Even our boys today want to dress up. So figures of speech give you beauty, aesthetics. And therefore in the poem, they add beauty to that poem. Let's look at the next chart and we'll clarify. Here the figures of speech, all the meanings have been given to us, the explanation of it. Similarly easy, because the moment I get as, I come to know. Metaphor, substitute. Alliteration, you will get letters which are repeated. Repetition, where the words are repeated. Consonance is when the consonant word gets repeated. Onomatopoeia, sound, ding dong, ting ting, tak tak, sounds that come in. Hyperbole. Hyperbole. You are actually over exaggerating. In Hindi you say, mirch masala laga kar kehna. You listen to our children talking, and then they tell you, "Arey main akela tha, maine isko aisa mara, 10 दिन को 2 हाथ से 2 पैर से मारा." Understand, it's a hyperbole because one person cannot deal with them. No, this is an over exaggeration which comes. Now, we have come to the last part of it, of the 7th going to the 8th. Don't worry, teachers, don't get upset. I can see hand raised because you want to take it down. You're going to get it. You will get it. I just want you to take a small 5 minutes break, 2 minutes, 2 seconds break, just 2 seconds, so that your ears are sorted out. Because my voice is not that mellifluous or melodious that you can listen to it. Unlike Dr. Pradhan will talk in a nice, sweet way. You feel like listening to him. It's not that way with me. So just take a little break, 2 seconds, deep breath, and again you have to listen to me because we are moving from 8 to the 9. We are so happy, teachers. We are promoted so fast. 7 to the 8th we went, and 8 to the 9th also we went. Double promotion we got. So nicely we've been, they are already in the 9th standard now. Again, remedial measures. What is the meaning of remedial measures? There was a feeling in my thought. A remedial measure means those who can't understand. No. Remedial means I rectify. Here again we come. Again 8 to the 9, same thing will come. A lot of repetition will be there. Again we come back to competencies. Our learning outcomes are same, but you come and look at the learning experience. And I want you to look at the second one. Ask the students to read the poem and analyze / appreciate it. What does it mean? Analyze a poem. First thing, let them read the poem. Count the lines which are there. Count the lines. Find out what the last words are. Who wrote the poem? What is the title of the poem? And here, I know we teachers do it. We show them the difference between a prose has a paragraph, but a poem has a stanza or a verse. And then when we begin to appreciate it, beautification, rhyming words, rhyme schemes, and we are asking them to find meanings from the dictionaries for various things that we want. And in the activity, we can play a game in the class of word chain, give them one word, let them form it, or they refer to the dictionary. Now here, teachers, please note, don't use an online dictionary here, because if we use an online dictionary over here, children will find out some other meaning and they will not listen to you. So what you need to do is let them keep the dictionary with them, or physical dictionary, and ask them to pick out words so that they scan through the pages. They'll get the feel of the paper. That sound of paper is very good. It has to come. This is what we need to do over there. And then let them ask questions to their friends. How are the vacations? What did you do in the vacation? All this is what our children need to know. Let's go to the next slide. Now here an example I've given you of the first poem, which is in standard 9th. Appreciation of the poem. Why did I give this? I'll explain myself why I gave this. Appreciation carries 5 marks. And I want my child to get 4 out of 5 in any case. If he gets 5, yay. If he doesn't get the 5, at least 4 he will get. How will he get it? My first paragraph will be Life is a motivational poem written by who? So what kind of a poem? Now when I explain, I need to tell them for each poem what kind and who wrote it. 1 mark as per the board rules. Then the poem has a beautiful rhyme scheme, meter. So I name it. And here, the child has to write the rhyme scheme for the whole poem because it's appreciation and the poem is in front of them. So they have to write it for the. Now, what is the rhyme scheme? Remember, we did rhyming words. So what is rhyme scheme? When 2 have the same sound, I give the same letter, A. But A, then I go to B. Then I go to the third word was something different. I call it C. Again, the 4th line went with the second word. I call it C. This has to be worked out in the class. Then the poem is sprinkled with a bouquet of figures of speech. We all said, no, figures of speech is for beauty. Here it is. Life's sunny hours, split by where sunny hours refer to. Here I'm going to get 2 marks. Now I've already secured 3 marks. Huh? 1 mark I got for the poem and the poet, 2 marks I got here. And then I have the major part of central idea of the poem, for which there are 2 marks. Why did I say 4 out of 5? Was I negative? No, I was not negative, teachers. I said 4 out of 5 because somewhere here I'll make a mistake. How to find the central idea? First line, you all write poems. Most of our English teachers all write poems. First 2 lines are what you want to say. And then in between, you put in a lot of other material. And last 2 lines, you take it back to the title. So where is your central idea? First 2 lines and the last 2 lines, they give you the central idea. That is how you find out the theme of the poem. That gives you 2 marks. Next one, appreciation. And in paragraph, please. Appreciation has to be in paragraphs. Punctuation, same chart is repeated over here, but I want to draw your attention over here to 3 things. Semicolon. I want you to look at semicolon. Words that link to independent clauses, because children, and see the icon is put over there for you to understand. Apostrophe, they put it anywhere otherwise. Hyphen, slash, and ellipsis mark. Our children have to know that. It's not there in the book, but sometimes I just put dots over there. Round bracket to put something, I want to highlight it. No, this is important for us in punctuation because 1 mark on language study always comes. So let my children get that 1 mark of language study. Let's go further with it. Pronoun. We've got 4 different types of pronoun given to us in the 8th standard book going to the 9th. Personal pronouns. I, me, mine. Yes, I got it. Indefinite pronouns, we always have a problem with our children. Anybody. Teacher, what part of speech is anybody? Each. Teacher, what to write for this? It's an indefinite pronoun because I do not know. I cannot say this for this. Therefore, I'm saying indefinite. Demonstrative pronoun. So this book is demonstrative pronoun? No. If it is followed by a noun, it will be an adjective. When there is no noun, it is a pronoun. An interrogative for a question. Who is whistling in the class? The sound is beautiful, but you are whistling at the wrong person. So whistle where you have to whistle. Interrogative pronouns that you have. This is important. You know, teachers, online, tell them to use a chat. Make it a little lively. And for that, we also need to have energy bubbling into us. Okay, let's go further. A pronoun chart which is repeated. I'm not going to say on it because I've already spoken. And I told you, you will customize it to your children. Customize. Okay. Let's go further. Here I want to spend a little time. Finite, non-finite, gerunds, and participle. And we teachers really breathe to explain to the children what gerund means and participle means and what time. Time is sense. You know, once I just asked the children, what is a sentence? And I got the typical Renan Martin definition, sense, and everything. It has to be subject verb. Sentence simply means having sense and having tense. That is a sentence. And tense is time. I have to identify the words, finite and non-finite. And then I go further with it. And my exercise, I will read the book. Now you'll be wondering, why every time have I said read a passage and pick up? See, teachers, you and I, we are sailing in the same boat. Our children don't want to read the textbook, correct? If I tell them to read, they're not going to read. I have to give them a stimulus, a vaccine. And the vaccine is pick out. Now, when they're picking out, they're actually browsing. So they're reading. I did not use. Activity was read a passage, but they're actually looking through and find. Then whoever gets the maximum list, let's see. And they'll go through page by page, whole textbook, they will scan through and get everything ready. Why? Because I want to impress my teacher. That is why I have put this activity. This is taking care of my reading. Let's take the next slide to understand gerund. Here we come back to our joint family of verbs that we did. I want you to focus on non-finite verb. Infinitive, always preposition to before it. Gerund, ing, used as a noun. Participle, ing or ed, can be used as an adjective. And then you have the primary auxiliary verb and the modal. Primary auxiliary, to be, to have. Modal auxiliary. Modal comes from the word mood. And from there we get modal auxiliary. Help it. And mind you, this modal auxiliary is They cannot stand alone. Huh? They require crutches. I can, different meaning. I can it. I come to class and I say, I can it. You say, teacher, what? I can do it. I've given them crutches of do, and then they can understand what it is. Because modal auxiliary requires support. Take the next slide. Finite and non-finite. This also is on the portal. So don't waste your time in trying to see. I know the print can be a little small, and I know it becomes difficult to read, but at the same time, finite is finished. Non-finite is something that is not finished, incomplete. Finite, action, done. Non-finite, in the process, or there is something. I wanted to look at the last two in the non-finite section. I struggle to understand. Which is the verb over there? Struggle. Now, what is to understand? Preposition to has come in. And because preposition to has come, understand, that is to understand it. Infinitive. In maths, you have infinity till the end. Your infinitive is to and with. Very easy, children, to find out. Use your visual. Look at the next one. Kids like to play on computers. Kids like what? To play. Very good. I have got that. Now listen to the next thing. Let's move to the next one and see what happens over there. This is where our challenge for us teachers is. How much we struggle, take a deep breath to explain to our children. Participle, gerund, and still when they write wrong in the papers, we are like upset. How much I explain to my children, they still can't understand. No, teachers, we all have explained, but the concept is that way. Let's look at it. Simple. Participle is also verb ending in ing. Gerund is also ing. Now tell me, as a child, how will I understand why participle and why gerund? Both are ending in ing, but one is answering what, the other one is followed by a noun. Give them these little clues. He likes playing football. He likes what? Playing football. I saw him playing football. Can I say I saw him what? No. Playing has got a noun after that. Therefore, participle. Confirmed. What? Gerund. Noun after that, participle. Come to the left-hand side. Participle and gerund. A participle can function as a verb with the help of auxiliary. That's why I said this requires am and has to come with that ing. But a gerund can alone function, loner, in isolation, by himself. He can survive. Participle, present and past. Gerund can be present participle and can be subject. If it is placed in front, it is subject. If it is placed afterwards, it is object. Nothing difficult for us. We know it. I am only doing this, giving you tips and hints how we can reach out to our children. Take the next slide, please. Tenses and aspect. Now, this word, remember, teachers, we all learned aspect. Like we learn, not perfect tense, progressive, and all that. We learn. Now a new word has come in, aspect. And this aspect which has come in is what? Perfect is aspect, progressive is aspect, and perfect. Progressive is also continuous. We learned it as simple, continuous, perfect, continuous. Now we say progressive. Meaning is the same. We have to explain the difference to them. It is given on page 65 and they will clap. And this exercise is there in the book. Give them that and let them find out. Why? Our objective, our hidden agenda is very simple. They will read the book to find out. I'm not telling them to read. I'm telling them to find out. And they will read the book. Next slide, please. The chart given to you for tense and its aspect. This is just for you to understand, which you can take it and give it to the children straight away. A ready-made thing that can be given to us. It is not in the 9th standard book. It is a chart which has been engineered, designed, and made for the children, but it will be on the portal. And since it is in the portal, you can get it over there, which will. Perfect continuous is not there in our book. But mind you, as English teachers, we are never satisfied teaching half. Like that, we also want to give them a little more. I am sure you teachers talk about Australian English, Afro-Asian English, Canadian English, You talk about all these things in the class because you want to express it to the children. So this is something additional. Don't give it to them in the exam. Something more than that. Okay. Let's take the next slide, please. Now, here we have a confusion. Look at language study. 4 types of sentences and 3 kinds of sentences. 4 types: assertive, interrogative, exclamatory, imperative. And kinds are simple, compound, complex. Please keep this in mind. 4 Ks, 3 Cs. Assertive can be affirmative or negative. Interrogative, easy, question mark. Exclamatory, easy, exclamation mark. Imperative. Please be quiet, request. Go out, imperative. And that go out also has to be said properly. You know, we teachers know it. When I say go out, the whole class also wants to go out sometimes. And sometimes we just, will you go out? Stern face, soft voice, intonated, modulated, and the child says, sorry, teacher, please keep me in the class. And you say, okay, sit down there, don't do it another time, depending on the heart that you have. That's why I said language teachers are romantics. You know, we are believing on our feelings and expression. Okay, the next slide, please. Here you have a full chart of assertive, imperative, interrogative, and exclamatory. Examples are given to you. Command or a request. Go to your room at once. Order. Where is my pen? Question. Exclamatory. What a shame. Wow, it was lovely. The pasta was delicious. What a taste it had. Feelings from the heart. All that you require is this much and this much. You have this, you can learn anything in the world. Assertivity, make a plain fact. I am listening to the presentation at Navneet for training. Assertive. Interrogative. Shall I continue or can I leave the meeting? Exclamatory. Okay, it's all right. Okay, can we manage? Oh, now it's good. I'm explaining. Imperative. Will you just shut up now and don't tell us all these things? We know everything. Different ways of reacting, but types of sentences which are utilized. Next one, next slide, please. Voice and degrees of are too important in transformation. Voice and degrees of comparison. We need them all through for all competitive exams, for the ILS exams, for the GMAT, for the GRE, for the CAT, for the CET. Everywhere you have to get, even for the banking exam, you get voice 2 sentences, degrees of comparison. You have to get it. These are like a confirmed question. And I tell this to the children first so that they listen. Going to come. So listen, very good. It's going to come in the paper also. So listen. Sometimes I need to give them that ice cream, no? Fine. So here I take it further. Let's look at the next slide for voice and degrees of comparison. The next slide okay, here we come to passive. Now here, teachers, we have to be careful. You know, all sentences cannot be converted to passive. We have to see whether it can be converted. And what we have done is have given you in a tense form so that if it's a present simple, how it will be done, present continuous, how it will be done, which words you can use. Structural method for functional use in the contextual way. If I use this, my children are going to understand this. And all of us teachers are facing this problem. Let's accept it. And in a revision class, I will have to do this because this is part of the book. Modal and modal perfect, everything is there. So this chart, you can take it from the portal straight away and take it to your class. No problem. It's a downloadable one, so don't worry. Passive voice, because active, subject is active. But in the passive, the object is active. So both are activated, but different things are activated. Okay. Next. Degrees of comfort. I hear a little caution. Positive is what? At the same level. Comparative is what? One above, one below. And what is superlative? One and the group down. I come. Superlative. So it has to be with the group. Comparative. Positive at the level. I normally give these kind of actions. Positive, comparative, superlative. Straight. Because then I remember one child during the exams, and there was a good humor that we had. sentence came and the child kept on doing this during the examination. And the teacher who was supervising said, "What are you doing?" No, I'm trying to see what degrees of comparison are. So I said, "Why this action?" "My teacher taught me like that." She said, "Put it like this, it is positive, put it like this, and put it like this." And I'm trying to see where it has to go. And we all had a laugh in the staff room because how much the children really can see you. Now look at this. A pattern is given. Subject plus to be plus as plus adjective and another as. My book is as interesting as yours. It's a positive degree. His car runs as fast as a race car. Positive degree. May I have the next slide, please? Here is something that we have got in our 8th standard book and 9th standard book. We've got it in the last 2 pages of our course book. If there is one syllable, now what is the meaning of this? I'll explain this first because this will become easy for you to understand. Then I'll go to the chart. One syllable, you pronounce the word hot, hot, cold. Just one syllable and you pronounced it. One syllable word in the comparative doubles the consonant and adds an ER. Fast, hot, cold, bright. In one breath you're saying it. And when you're saying it in one breath, you double. Now in brighter you don't because that's an irregular one. So you just add an ER over there. But in 2 syllables, comfortable, fluently, comfortable. Here I can't say comfortabler, comfortablest. No, like today we speak best, bestest. No, we can't say that. We can't say best, bestest. We can't say. We have to look at 2 syllables. Now, comfortable. What is comfortable? I have to use more or less. Why do I have to use more? Because I cannot add an ER over there. I cannot add anything over there. The rule is when it is 1 syllable, I will double it. And when there are 2 syllables, I will use more and then take it. Now let's look at the structure here. Subject plus to be plus adjective plus ER plus than. Now draw their attention to that word than. It's not then. Then is THEN, becomes a conjunction. Then, than. My tongue touches on top. Than. I'm throwing out the word. Then I'm taking it within. I get this intonation and pause, and my children will also learn it. Subject plus verb plus adverb plus ER plus than. Important. 2 things are being compared. But look at the next one. This red dress is more comfortable than the white. I have to use more over there or I have to use less because there are 2 syllables. This is there in the book, but this chart will always help because this chart helped me also. So I'm sharing the same thing with you teachers. Can we have the next slide, please? May I have the next slide? Oh, no, go further. Oh, no, just go back, please. Just go back. Sorry. Yeah. Now we are coming to superlative. What is superlative? A problem comes from over here. When to use the? Very S plus to be plus the plus adjective plus est. Why? You said tall, taller, tallest. So I have to use the before it. I put the noun and I continue. And if I an adverb also, the will come. The is always part of the superlative. When I do the 2 syllables, again the will come before most. That is the most boring film I have ever seen, and you take it further. Okay, may I move to the next slide? Reported speech is our indirect speech that we have. We all know the rules. On the pages of the book we have given in 45, 52, 98. I would tell them just put out all those which are in double inverted commas so that they know it is direct speech, and I'm now going to convert them into indirect speech. Let's move to the next slide. Statement that will come. He said to me, he told me that, and I'll get the reported. This, teachers, we know it is very easy to put it on a chart, but we teachers know how difficult it is to explain it to the. And this, each teacher will have their own creativity to reach out to the children, because we know our children best. How to put it on requires a lot of practice, and anyway it carries 2 marks. Next one. Now, command. He asked me, he told me to, and an infinitive, or he asked me, he told me not to, an infinitive. This our children are able to do, this part. Let's go a little further. Okay, question. Here where our children get confused. Why, even as a student, I got confused. So why if my children get confused, what is the harm in that? He asked me, if or whether has to be used, always. It's a question, no? So if, and then I put subject, verb, and complement. Now you understood why we did object and all of that and revise, because when we come to this part, all this has to be revised. Similarly, when I have WH question, then the when and what has to come. So subject, verb, and complement. So that connective word is what is important for us. And there we have if or when. This is something, we all know the rules, we give our children the rules, but we need to understand this, that this is how it has to be done. This little structural chart helps us to go further, and our children benefit to be able to do it. Let's move ahead to the next slide, please. Phrases and clauses. How often, we teach phrases and clauses to our teachers. We have to revise it. What is a phrase and what is a clause? Differentiate. Clause will always have a verb. Phrase will not have a verb. Clause will have a phrase will be a group of words, but clause will have a verb in that. And I have to give them a sentence where they are able to underline the phrase or underline the clause, because we are all doing dependent clause and main clause. All that we have to do, no? So all that part when it comes in, we have to do phrase and clause. Let's take the next slide, but this will become a little more clear. Okay, a group of words that contains a subject and a verb. Independent clause. I went to school. Dependent clause, when I give a reason for what it was. And clause, noun phrase, verb phrase, adjective phrase, adverb phrase, prepositional phrase. It's so important for us to use that. That when I'm looking at a phrase, but when I come to the phrase part of it, they have to understand what it means. That is phrases and clauses. Okay, let's move further. Here we come to conjunctions, coordinating conjunctions, subordinate. This is simple, a chart given actually. And I don't know, with a little experience, I know that if my children know correlative conjunction, no, they can find out compound sentences very easy. We have to give them those clues. But this is a chart which you can utilize. Let's move a little further. Types of adverbs, again, I need to this because they have to understand the various kinds of adverbs that are. Fine. A chart which can, because in my transformation, when I have to say subordinate, dependent, I have to say what kind of adverb it is. So I need to do. This chart will help us teachers also to be able to explain. Go a little further. Okay, here we come, simple, compound, complex, which is like, the blood pressure of our English higher level teachers, because we really struggle to explain it to our children to such an extent, and they continuously make problems. They continuously have difficulties. Very simple thing I tell you before I go to the next. Simple, one word. Compound, more than one verb. And coordinating conjunction. Complex, more than one verb, and subordinating conjunction. I do it that way. Why? Simple, I know, I can find out. Now I tell them. Simple nahi hai? Okay, now check out. More than one verb. Is there a gerund? Is there a participle? What is it? Both of them together? Now. Teacher, more than one verb is there. Fine. Now look at the conjunction. What is connecting? Is it in your list of correlating conjunctions? Put it up on the board and keep. Teacher, this conjunction is there. So then it is a compound sentence. Teacher, this conjunction is not there. Then it is a complex sentence because then we have to find out. Let's look at it further. The next chart that comes in. Here is your simple, compound, and complex. Simple sentence, yes, we have only one clause, subject, verb, very simple. Compound, more than one, but connected. Remember, coordinating conjunction. And complex. The hungry owl hooted loudly, then flew away as it spotted its next meal. So many ideas together, so many verbs, but no correlating conjunction over there. One clause is dependent on the other. Therefore, it is complex. See, the word also tells you compound, two things together. Complex is something that is complicated because there is something more in that. And that is why. Now, a problem comes when we change it. Simple, I'll reduce it. So I'll use infinitive, I'll put gerund, I'll put participle. Compound, I will make it big, expand it. I'll add a correlating conjunction. Complex also have to make it dependent on each other. That is why those adverbs over there help us. Which adverb has to go there, which kind of concession has to go there, what kind of subordination conjunction has to go there. All this we need to know when we do simple, compound, and complex. Then the concept becomes a little easy. Can we move a little further? Figures of speech. Once again, what we did in the previous one, we are coming now to the same thing of actually looking at figures of speech. The previous chart continues, but there are new ones added. Now, what are the new ones added? Let me go to the chart and I will tell you what it is. Let's look at the chart, the next slide that is there. Similarly, metaphor, alliteration, we all did it from 7 to 8, but I want to, even hyperbole we did. We have done it from 7 to the 8, 8 to the 9th again, 9 to the 10th again, same thing continues. But look at the next one. Just take the next slide, please. Here we have, we are looking at epigram, tautology, and inversion. Epigram, short sentence, deep meaning. Tautology, two words which have got the same meaning. And inversion, where I can invert the sentence and reframe it and put it into a regular thing. Now, before I go to the next step, I want to draw your attention to that appreciation of the poem marks. Title, poet, 1 mark, rhyme scheme 1, figure of speech 1, central idea 2. And therefore, I normally say, okay, chalo, let's do all the poems first and let me write down all the appreciations because I got only 7 or 8 poems. So let me do that first. My appreciations are ready. My comprehension is ready. My child out of 10 will at least get 8 marks. I work mark-wise because that is what our children want. That makes it easy for me to teach. So we can do that. But this marks must be with us. We have to handle it that way because that's where they will understand the poetry. Come to the next slide, please. Understand this. Epigram. Short, witty poem or a saying. For most part of history, Anonymous was a woman. Now here I want to sound, we teachers make this mistake and our children also make this mistake. The poem is written and down they put Anonymous. That means that we do not know who wrote it. And our children say, by an anonymous poet. No, by anonymous. Don't even say poet. Don't do that. It cannot be an anonymous poet and cannot be by anonymous. Just don't give the poet by an unknown poet. Don't say anonymous, unknown poet. Because we do not know, the name was not given to us. Tautology. In my opinion, I think that both of things meanings are the same. Say it again once more, again and once more. Meaning is the same. This is beautiful, wonderful. Both the meanings of conveying are the same. That is tautology. Words which are more than twice generally concerned. It's normally a fault of a style, but in poetic license, everything is permitted. And inversion. It reverses the order. Hasten the children on their way. The correct order will be the children hastened on their way. Change it. In poetry, I put it because I wanted it to rhyme. I wanted it to have the meter. I wanted it to have its meaning. But in prose, it will be a plain sentence. Let's move further to the next slide. Here we come to writing skills, which is speech and interview and expand the idea. I've given you page numbers. Back again, I go There are pointers to these exercises to guide, and this Dr. Pradhan will be talking. So I do not want to challenge your ears, and that's why I put a little note over there. All details for writing skill will be given on the portal. If you have any questions, we can always answer it at that point of time. But expand the idea. We got proverbs. Interview. We are asking questions. I've given a question activity there. Interview a doctor for the noble work. Now remember one thing: only professional questions have to be asked. Why did you become a doctor? Okay. Do you like the medical profession? Are Baba, he's already there. Why are you asking him that question? Professional question. No personal questions. No personal questions. Professional, sociological questions, which make sense. That is an interview. Story writing. Start. Pick it up. Build it. Bring it down. Moral. The arc of the story is there. All these tips and hints Sir will be giving you. I have only touched it because Sir will be talking on that. The next slide, please. Summary and précis writing. I just wanted to touch this part because of the unseen comprehension. Summary or précis. Actually, we are calling it summary in an unseen. What is the meaning? Title is very important. They get 1 mark for it. Clarity, brevity, and precision. Clear, brief, and logical order. Don't take everything. Just take what is required. Use linkers such as therefore and whatever, and connect the sentences. Write in reported speech and write in your own words. It is so important for that. That is a summary. The next slide, please. Thank you to all of you for listening and bearing with us, because listening to one person for 1 hour, salute. You can't listen. And we are not used to listening. So thank you to you for that. Thank you so much. And over here, I also want to say thank you to the person who helped me to make the slide, Michael Pereira, my key dream achiever, because we've been talking to him on the while, and that is all. I'm not techno-savvy.
Thanks, Mulay madam.
Yes,
You have done really an excellent job and made everything crystal clear for me. Grammar part and various concepts in English. You have made it very, very clear for the teachers. It was like a crash course for the teachers, and I'm sure that they have gained quite a lot. They have refreshed themselves, and surely that will go to the students in the long run.
Thank you for being my mentor for so many years.
I must thank you. I must thank Basanti Roy madam and mainly Navneet Foundation for making this platform available for the teachers to understand, to have the course where they can learn how to teach and how to go about in a classroom situation. Well, thank you very much for all and everything that is being done by Navneet for the upliftment of the standard of the schools and the education standard and the teaching and learning process. Well, we have all experienced educational crisis these years, almost 2 years by now. And that has forced us to change. And as the paradigm shift from the classroom teaching, offline teaching to online teaching. Just 2 years ago, no one had heard about this online teaching. But now we are forced, every teacher is forced to make use of this online sort of teaching and learning procedure. Well, learning gaps, losses may be there, may not be there. It's the prime duty of all the teachers to ensure that the students come on one ground. When you enter a class, it's bit but natural that we ensure that all the students have a sufficient background. The previous knowledge is clear. Is the first lesson in B.Ed itself, that when you arrange a lesson, when you go for planning your lesson, test your children, where they are, what they are, and so on. So let's begin with the very important year, that is the terminal stage of the secondary level, and that is the SSC sort of thing. And how we can help our children to refresh themselves and how they can come on one level so that they can take the lessons of standard 10th. I would like to share my screen with you, and here I go. Can you all see this? I'm sure that it must be visible to all of you. It's never too late in fiction or in life to revise. Revising is very, very important. And how to do that, that's what we are going to check. The possible gaps and what can be the remedial measures. Let's think about that. That the students from standard 9th to 10th that have come, and they have come without appearing for the examination, without having any sort of formal testing. So the most important thing that Navneet Foundation has done is that it has arranged for the pre-test. It's going to give you the arrange for the pre-test and also the post-test after these 14, 15 days of refreshing. Before entering in ahead, we have to be very, very clear about what is a review. What do we mean by review? What is the purpose of the review? Why we are expected to do that? And how are we going to bridge the gap? Is the conceptual understanding that Shailaja was talking about, which is very, very important. And for that, we are not going to teach each and everything, but surely we are going to refresh their knowledge. We are going to refresh the rules and regulations and the use and all such things quickly, rapidly, and that will prepare them to face the challenges of standard 10th and the board's examination. Acquiring language proficiency at the level, at this SSC level, is very, very important. And to make it further, to take it further, that is important. I always give importance to the skills because language learning is, after all, what? LSRW. C for communication and G for grammar or vocabulary. So when we are talking about the gaps and the loss that might be there, we will have to think of listening skill and speaking skill along with the language study, along with the grammar part of it. And of course, the most important part when it comes to standard 10th is the study skills. Whether the students have developed the essential study skills that we will have to check up. What is your role now at this moment? How are you going to bridge the gap? You will have to prepare very important material for that. And you can take help of PPT. You can develop worksheets. You can develop activity sheets, because without which you just can't go. Whatever the bridging course that you are going to have, the condensed course that you are going to have, all of it is going to be online. And the online classes would be interesting if they are interactive, if you involve the children, if they are stress-free. Let us make it in informal manner. Let us make it fun. Then they will definitely enjoy and learn. And for that, you will have to keep PPTs ready, worksheets ready, and all the time you have to engage the students in this process of learning. Even more than that is that you have to help them to understand the importance of self-study, because most of the time we don't want our children to go astray, go out of the way. We are there. We as teachers are going to help them, and everything is centered around the teachers, around us. But really, we want to go ahead and make it stress-free, enjoyable, a fun way of learning. And for that, it's very important that all of you should be creative, innovative, and imaginative. Well, now let's have a look at this. A very important one is the listening skill. What are the expected learning outcomes? When you enter a class, you have to ensure that the students listen. And if they are not in position to listen, they will not be able to go ahead. They will not be able to go to the next class, to the next skill almost. So summarize a topic. Can they listen and summarize? Can they listen and think critically? Can they listen and reflect? Now, all these are the learning outcomes expected by the students of standard 9th and when they enter standard 10th. If you are in position, if you find they are not in position to do that, what can you do? Arrange for the activities that are based on listening skill. What kind of activities? Give them a passage to listen to and ask them to fill in the gaps, summarize, agree, disagree, true or false, MCQ type questions. Prepare small paragraphs. Develop your own say audio inputs for the students. But I feel it's very important that you check whether the students are good at listening or not, because it is all the time taken for granted that since I'm talking, all of you are listening, but it may not be true. So in the same fashion, when you can't see the children in online sort of mode, when the 60 people are connected, maybe some of them have put their say videos on. The problem is whether the children can listen or not, and for that you have to ensure it, and at the same time give them some assignment in form of listen to TV news and jot down certain words or the important points that you have listened to. That would train their ears. It's very important that we train the ears of the children. I move ahead, and in the same fashion, you can think of speaking skill. In these skills, we have got so many different concepts, and we will have to check whether our students are up to the mark, whether the students have learned it, got it or not. I'm not going to elaborate on this because all these slides are going to be available on the portal, and you can at leisure go through them and make the best use of it. So I move ahead, and the most important part is that of reading, of course, silent reading. Loud reading, yes, because there is an oral test and all our children should be able to read aloud properly, effectively, with all the expectations. But when it comes to silent reading, and as far as the examination is concerned, there are seen passages and unseen passages where their reading skill is being tested. So what do we expect them from them? The first one is the global understanding, overall meaning of the passage. Can they read and understand the overall meaning of the passage? Can they understand the factual information that is being presented? Can they go on skimming and scanning, that sort of thing? Skim is to go fast, quickly, read it, browse it, go through it, and understand the general idea behind it. Scanning is, yes, equally the same sort of thing, but looking at the specific information, looking for what that is asked. And therefore, the children must have developed these kind of habits of reading. Reading is not just plain say word as understanding, but then the shades of that, these are the concepts that must be clear. If you ask your children, can you listen, can you speak, can you read, everyone will laugh, because we are the students of standard 10th and from English medium, and of course we can listen and speak and read. But if you go on testing whether they can really listen or speak or read, you will find that the gaps are there, that they can't. And then it is your responsibility to train them at whatever stage they are. Come on, now you're in standard 10 and you just can't do this much. Well, you should not say like this. You must accept your children as they are. You must know your children, and then with whatever level they are, you have to take them further. You have to raise them further. And for that, arrange for this kind of activities. Develop an activity where a paragraph is being given and where the questions of this type, factual, scheming, understanding the intention, that is very, very important. What is the purpose of writing? What is the message of this particular paragraph? Can they think critically? That is, compare and contrast, reflect, respond, because reading most of the time requires you to reflect on, you to respond to it. You just can't read and stop. Your reactions are wanted. Your opinions are wanted. For example, the personal response kind of question. The teachers and the students are all the time worried about this personal response type question, individual responses, where that imagination is required, where that creativity is required. And I feel that these three things are very, very important therein. One is understanding of the question, what is that is asked. Are the children in position to understand what is asked? Exactly. And then forming their own opinion. Can they form their own opinion? Can they have their own opinion? And the next part of it is, can they explain it? Can they put it in proper language? Can they say, have their own say in a proper manner? So these are the only three things that we check. Most of the time the question is asked that they don't get 2 out of 2. Why not? So the problem is that they may not be in position to express themselves. So in personal response, you can't go wrong. There is nothing as right and wrong, because the children have their own opinion. And for that, you must respect. How can you do that? Look at the tips. Present a paragraph on PPT, because you are arranging a online class. Give a purpose for reading. That is always important. Every activity must have a purpose behind it. You just can't say read it. Why they should read? So make that clear first of all. And then some reading activities with that are based on the paragraph that you should arrange. Asked to read between the lines. Now that is very much required at the SSC level, where the children have to develop their own thinking power. You may play games with them with the jumbled reading, if you are talking about loud reading, and say you can name any boy and or a girl, and they will start reading. So that will ensure that whether they are reading or not. Solve the worksheets. You'll have to develop the worksheet, and that can be given as an assignment. So we have talked about listening, speaking, and reading. And now let me go ahead and go to the next slide. It's writing. When it comes to writing, well, formal later, the layout is important, no doubt, but the most important part of it is the language. What do we mean by informal language and a formal language? The children should be able to see the difference between informal and formal language. Well, it requires a bit of training for that. Say, for example, the use of vocabulary, proper words. I'm sorry. Now, the word sorry can be used in informal letters, but when it comes to formal letter, as you all know, you you just can't say I'm sorry. You will have to say I regret. There are so many words like that which make it possible to make informal situations into formal situations. So, or the formal use of language. Now, this is what exactly you have to pinpoint when you're talking about a formal letter. It is not just the layout that is important, but it is the use of the language that is more important. For example, the brevity of it. When it comes to formal letters, we always talk about the briefness of it, and how to make your message crisp, how to make your expectations or the message put it in very short words and terms that you have to check, and how you can help your children in that. Another very important part of writing is expansion of idea. It's an act of increasing. You have to go on adding. And this can be done very well and simply with these 7 states. I feel that the students should be trained for making use of all these 7 states. And if they make use of these 7 states very well, expansion of idea can be clear. They can write for the expansion. And for that, you can arrange the, say, like the activities, like show them the layout of the, I'm sorry. Yeah. Discuss one topic. They always want to see the role model that they have to follow. So what is in your mind, what the teacher expects from me, it should be very clear for the children. So show them a model. When you are conducting online class on PPT, you can have health is wealth, union is strength. Go on developing that and put it as a model for the children. Well, start with expanding word into a phrase, a very simple exercise. Give a word, ask them to expand it, add a preposition or other word, adjective, and make it a phrase. From phrase, ask them to go for a sentence, and from sentence to paragraph. So you can make use of a whiteboard, helping the children understand from word to paragraph how they can extend, they can add and expand their ideas. Talk about the process. It's very important that we talk about the learning process. Help the children in understanding the process of it. Most of the time, it so happens that we give them ready-made formal letters. 4 or 5 letters are prepared and they are dictated and they are given to the children. Even with the expansion of idea, some ideas are being say expanded in form of paragraphs and they are given for the children to mug up, to cram up, but it's going to help in the long run. For that, you must tell them the process of how it happens. What is the word to word meaning? What is the hidden meaning? What is the suggested meaning? Go on giving examples, maybe from your reading, maybe from your experience. What is the importance of that particular idiom or phrase that is being given? And then the proper conclusion of it. If you ask them to follow these stages and steps, I'm sure it will work. The tips are also there, and in the portal, you are all going to have a quick look at all this. Plan your strategy for these 15 days that they are going to begin from tomorrow, and then go ahead. When it comes to report writing, well, almost the same thing. We are talking about the skill or the concept. Of course, report writing is one concept. Report, how to report. What are the learning outcome? What is the learning outcome that is expected? What is the objective? Why we have it? Why we have this kind of an exercise? And then in the next column, you will find the kind of learning experiences you can provide to your children within these 15 days. And the last column is the assignment that you can give at the end of that particular period. This, of course, you are going to use, develop, and then enter or start with your meeting. This slide for me is very, very important. Be it a letter writing, story writing, or any form of writing. If you train your children in these 2 things, how to prepare and how to present, When you are think about preparation, I mean the content part of it, the thought part of it. The children don't know from where to bring about the content. And so these are the 8 tips or hints. Using them, you can develop your own write-up on any subject, any topic. The thing is, relate the topic with the textual part. Any given topic, you can relate it with the lessons, the poems that are there. The textbook is 100% guide. Why don't you use the phrases, the words, the sentences, the lines for your writing? Use the basic skills of LSRW. Listen to that on that to that topic. Speak on that topic. Read about that subject, that topic, that theme, and then you can of course write. You just can't begin your writing without listening, speaking, and reading. So look at all these 8 tips, which are very, very important, and you can go on thinking about them. Well, we have got a limited time, and I can go on explaining how you can prepare your children for any kind of write-up using this as a technique. When it comes to presentation, actual write-up, the most important thing is that using variety of structure. As you observe the letter or a story, you will come across that they all write in statement form. They all write just plain sentences. We have to train our children in making use of variety of sentences. Like, why not use as soon as? Why not use exclamatory? Why not use interrogative in your write-up? That would bring about a style in your writing. So I always value that grammar is important even in writing. And so remember, grammar, the marks for grammar are also there in writing. You know very well about the organization of thoughts, paragraph forming, and all that. But another point is that of discourse markers. That is the joining words. The sentences fall apart. If you go on reading the story or the paragraph that is being developed by the children, you will find that there are sentences after sentences, but they are not well connected. Now, the discourse markers like however, moreover, therefore, they connect the sentences. The sentences must be connected, the paragraphs must be connected, so that cohesion is there, that coherence is there, and that would make your writing really pleasing one, and the examiner would really appreciate it. And spend one period, I feel, using these techniques and all such things. When it comes to grammar, language study, sentence structure is the most important thing. And within that, we have the subject verb relation. I don't want to spend time on that, but look at this. It's a concord, the most important part in grammar. That is the subject and verb relation. The previous slide gives you some of the examples. Of course, you know more of the rules and regulations for the subject verb relation. One of the boys were present or was present. That's the question. That's the problem. Children are writing. So before that, they don't have any question. But when it comes to writing, they are in trouble. So we have to refresh their knowledge by giving the examples, use PPT, show the relations, that what is the subject and what is the verb. Simple exercise of that type. Well, even though the children have come in standard 10th, they may be having basic problems. So this bridge gap course of 15 days is to ensure that their base is clear. Of course, you can make use of this slide and come up with. Articles is the most important part. And we, the grown-ups, the teachers also commit mistakes in making use of articles at proper place. I had written one article, I remember. There are almost 11 ways to test articles in grammar. but we know only one, and that is filling the gaps with o and the, or the. Why not check it with different ways and means? Within that, it's not articles alone, it is says as determiners. And how these determiners act, that you will have to help the children in. When we are talking about the language atoms, of course, Shailaja madam has spent quite a lot on this, how you can help the children in this, and how you can revise on this. Here is also some help from my side, because you are dealing with the students of standard 10th, and it's a terminal stage. So you will have to help your children in checking whether they are clear about all these concepts. Figures of speech. Well, to talk about this, figures of speech. Why? Because you are so experienced teachers, you know your own ways of dealing with figures of speech. But at the same time, I would suggest you that help your children develop this kind of chart. In the first part, there will be figure of speech. Next one would be definition of that, explanation of that, and the next one would be the example. And the example may be from their text itself. Ask them to find out, list down all those figures of speech. Once the chart is ready, it can be a good model for the students. This is one chart which will help them to gain 2 marks. Go ahead. And that is another chart. It's very easy for the children to elaborate on figures of speech if they want to write on, and that is with the help of this particular chart. The earlier one and this one would definitely prepare them for figures of speech. Here is like, what is the type? Resemblance. And simile, metaphor, and allegory. These are the 3 figures of speech which are based on the very concept of resemblance. Like that, if you go ahead, you will help your children understand and remember the use of figures of speech in a right manner. So it's the beauty of the language. And we always talk about the effect of language that is being brought in by the figures of speech. You will have to throw light on the very aspect that figures of speech are not only in the poem, they are also in the prose. And how they are in prose, you will have to give some illustrations and give some examples from the text. If you're dealing with a lesson with this particular topic of figures of speech, I have talked about two kind of charts, and then here is how you are going to deal with that. So there are almost 3 ways in which you can deal with, and that is give a model of the figures of speech, ask them to use it. Now, the most important part of it is use, being creative, and help your children in being creative. It's not just mucking up of the definitions, but then using in the various kind of situations. That is also very, very important. My last slide is that of a timetable. Look at this. Navneet Foundation has come up with a bridge course of 15 days. And these slides and the pre-test and post-test that would be available on the portal, it would help you to conduct these bridge gap course of 15 days. You can give 1 period for pre-test, listening skill, give at least 1 period, speaking, conversation, 1 period. Like that, if you could arrange, if you could plan your strategy, I'm sure you would be helping your children in, say, making up with the loss that might be there, that may be there, and the gaps that they can fill in. So this is how I feel that the teachers entering the standard 10th class from tomorrow, or say starting with the Zoom meeting tomorrow, start with the pretest, find out where the children are and help them. If you neglect this, I'm sure the students will not cope up with standard 10th course. If you want them to prepare themselves for standard 10th, well, certainly, surely this bridge gap course is important. And I must thank Navneet Navadisha and the Navneet Foundation and Basanti Roy Madam for arranging such a quick program for the teachers to understand how it can happen, how it can be done. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Here we are coming to the end of today's webinar. Thank you everybody who have joined us from various places. And you have stayed with us from the beginning till end. I'm really so happy to see the number has remained stable. And lot many have joined from the Facebook Live. And I'm sure since you are thanking us, but Arpita is thanking, Nilima is also giving her compliments. So many compliments we have seen.
Madam, the teachers have raised their hands. Can we take one or two questions, and if possible, or if we just listen to their questions and answer them on portal, that will be also possible. But if some of them want to speak, maybe if it is possible.
Okay. Is there anybody who wants to speak who is on Zoom? Anyone who wants to speak? Because there are not many questions which have come. And I think you both have done your job so extremely well that all the doubts have been cleared. We received a question before our Shailaja madam started with the sentence. The question came and it was all elaborately explained. And some questions on the appreciation of poem also came. They were also well answered in the same on the text. So we are coming to the end, and friends, I am here to remind you what we are going to do after going back. Yes, we have listened to the two experts. Now we got an idea that for the next fortnight, how we are going to conduct the sessions in our classroom. We have tried to equip all our teachers and save their time then to go and search, hunt the content, and then conduct the lesson. Now they are readily available. And what teachers have to do is just straight away conduct the classes in the online. Thank you, Sindhu Shinde. Thank you very much. Arpita, also very useful session she is writing. Valuable session. Manjusha Borate. Everybody is thanking our eminent speakers. And for a while, I felt Shailaja madam's session was going on. I'm sitting in a classroom as a student and listening to my teacher. And I'm sure everyone will agree with me that most of the teachers who have attended to today's session have felt the same. She is so passionate. Our sir is silent and he makes everybody comfortable, revises everything. So now I think both of our speakers have created a lot of confidence among us and has given a wonderful guidance. Thank you, Reshma. Thank you, Ray. And thank you so much, everybody. But my main concern is, what are we going to do after this? It was indeed a listening enrichment, a listening pleasure, wonderful sessions. But now the work has to start from your end. Action has to be taken by you. And what is this action? No need of my repeating, taking a pretest, conduct a pretest based on this all content, and then start teaching. Umesh Pradhan sir has given the entire time schedule on the very convenient way. You can comfortably revise the content in the given time schedule. After that is done, then you take a post-test, give some time to the children who have remained behind. And of course, you are supported by Navadisha portal. Navadisha portal is very easily, free of cost, available. All these inputs that you want to go through, revise again, is available there. And there is a lot of more things, government GRs, new developments in the field of education, very good essays, a wonderful book on his memoirs. Pradhan sir, तुमचं पुस्तक त्याच्यावर आहे.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
madam. Thank you for that.
It's appreciated by many readers. So such are the things, or whatever is happening in the world of education, you may find a lot of interesting things are there on the portrait. And we are inviting our people who are experienced, want to share some articles, write something, write their experiences, some innovation they can share with many more teachers through the portal. So it is again bridging the people together or connecting with people. Here, this 4-day program, when it is getting over, and I'm just reminding you what you are going to do. Our people who are in the field, Navneet's team, who have reached out to all the schools and would bring this information to all the teachers. I'm thankful to all these managers and their staff. Then I should also thank my Navneet team from this end at the headquarters at Mumbai. We had Sampada Joshi, Yogesh, Minaz, Prerna, all of them were together to help to put up this particular program. Thank you, Preeti Madam. It was nice of you to listen to this webinar and share your views. This program was jointly done by our field staff, all area managers, and they had the training coordinators who communicated to all of you. And so you could come. I also acknowledge the different managements of different educational institutions, their principals, and you teachers who responded and attended this program. Lastly, this program could have not happened if there was no initiative and support from Sri Anil Gala sir, who really appreciated, and he is totally taken up this program with his full heart. And also there is Sanjeev Gala sir, who has also given his good cooperation to conduct this program. Joy Joseph, thank you. We are really looking forward to conduct many more such type of webinars to benefit our teachers. Do write to us what kind of programs you would like to hear from us, or you would like to have from our side. Do share with your things. So with these few words, I once again thank Dr. Pradhan sir and Shailaja madam for gracing this today's webinar and making it conducted so successfully that the figures are telling. Of course, English medium schools were not so many who came to our program, but whosoever came, they have remained with us till the end. And there was absolutely no left outs, no dropouts till the end. That was a commendable job both of you have done. On behalf of Navneet Foundation, I'm extending my sincere gratitude to both of our experts. Thank you very much. Thank you, Padma, for again motivating us and encouraging us. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. See you. Bye. All the best.